You are an outlander, a wanderer. You find yourself in unfamiliar territory. Your questioning mind is what has led you to this place where you find yourself moving in a direction where you're not quite certain what's up ahead. You find yourself before a gateway. It's a gateway of initiation. And once you pass through this gate, nothing will be the same. And so you're waiting to finally cross that threshold. You're in search of treasure. You also are quite puzzled about how to get what you want. You're not quite sure what you'll find when you arrive at your first destination. You seek somebody who has the answers. You feel they have the missing piece. And yet there's something about this person that you find quite peculiar, a little odd, perhaps eccentric. This person resides in an ivory tower, a place of retreat, a place where they can find repose from taking any actions. A place that's on the edge of reality. You're not quite sure what you will find when you get there or how you will be received. All you know is that you're searching for the water from a deeper well. And currently, you're parched. But you're paused. You're paused before the threshold of the gateway. Not sure if you really want to take the action that will put you on unstable footing. You become very comfortable, but it's a false comfort because it doesn't really give your soul any rest. It's a place that you have called your resting place. That resting place doesn't have to be related to any kind of physicality. It can be a place you've rested within a question, telling yourself, I don't really need the answers, and yet there's something, a thirst, a hunger for knowledge that's calling you for more. You're parched. You need the water from a deeper well. You're about to cross this bridge. Now you must understand that when you are a wanderer in a strange land, sometimes the environment can be inhospitable. You may feel like in some way you're moving forward with some kind of impediment, something that slows you down. You're not quite sure how to find your own shelter as you prepare for what you feel will be entering the eye of the storm. But if you can remember that once you enter the eye of the storm, there's nothing but calmness there. The most difficult part is actually crossing the threshold, making the choice to go through the initiation, to seek out this strange character. Your hope will permit you entry into that ivory tower so you too can find some kind of retreat, some kind of repose from what has become quite troubling, something that has worn you thin, something that has you on edge, something you feel you lack. And what you feel you lack is the answer to a burning question that won't give your soul any rest until it is quenched with the knowledge it seeks. Let's see what this is about, collective. Big quest energy coming in. I will be bringing in quest readings this week. We are leading up to the Sagittarius full moon in this lunar cycle that was kicked off with the new moon in Gemini on the 26th. That full moon in Sagittarius, which is a big alignment point for putting us on the path of the Stone of Destiny, arrives on the scene on June 11th. Okay, so, yeah, see, you want to get your hands on this treasure. But in order to get your hands on this treasure, you first have to enter the gate. Queen of Pentacles, I see. Magician on the bottom of the deck. You have to take the initiative to actually enter the gate. So when we look at this energy, we're looking at the spear of Lu. The magician has the wand held high here. This speaks of what got kicked off with that Gemini moon. This is Gemini right here. Something has entered a state of mutability. It's in the process of transfiguration before it will be transmuted into what will eventually be what treasure you hold in your hands, the material reality. There's a process of alchemy that has been kicked off here. And see, this is the initiation point, the point of the Fool, where you do head into unfamiliar territory. Now, as you step through that gate, if you're brave, make sure you travel light. You don't want anything that weighs you down. And there may be certain lower parts of your nature that caution you from taking this leap of faith. And yet, this is the entry point. This is where it all begins. And there's something, again, loftier that is driving you forward here. Let's see what is being asked of you here. This is what I was talking about, the apprehension with the Nine of Wands. Not sure what you will find, not sure if you will find shelter, not sure how you will be received. When you're a stranger in a strange land, it's always wise to pay heed to the customs of the area you're traveling through. Whether you are a foreigner or whether you are just unfamiliar with the circles that you're about to enter, there's something here about not being prepared for battle. To be prepared for battle will invite a battle, right? There's a lot of guarding here, almost like bracing oneself for some kind of impact. And I see that that's a direct result of long fought battles that one has already been through, one has already endured, feeling worse for the wear, feeling tired, feeling injured in some way, feeling cast out in some way, feeling like one lacks something that is needed in order to be in a stronger position. And see, that's why there is seeking out the one at the remote location in the ivory tower, the one that's not accessible through traditional means. The only way to access this person that can help bring about some kind of harmonization, some kind of transmutation, some kind of healing that gives one strength to rise above previous opponents and challenges, even the opponents one has battled within themselves, is to enter into this unfamiliar territory, to find welcoming in that ivory tower where one can inquire about hidden matters, where one can find answers from only an individual that can be found at the hedge. The hedge is a border, you could say. It's more of an energetic border. It's the border between reality and surreality. It is the border between the mundane and the wild, free, expansive territory of unbridled consciousness. This is somebody that you're needing to meet with that will awaken within you the Magi. This is some kind of magic you're recovering from this meeting. Let's get some more details about this. There are dangers when you head into unfamiliar territory, so this is a piece that needs to be held in the forefront of the consciousness if you wish for your fulfillment. Wheel of Fortune. The journey begins, and there is a riddle to solve to arrive at the truth. There is territory you have to enter into that requires you drop your fixed stance and you move into a place of mutability, which can feel a little bit tricky. Sometimes it can make us feel like we're being led down a garden path. Maybe one has been led down many garden paths in the search of knowledge. And yet, this is something that cannot be resisted. This wheel is going to turn. This is a matter of fate. What you make of it is really the stuff of your destiny. You have two options here as you head forward down that path of the hermit. You can approach it with the 9 of Wands, or you can approach it with the 9 of Cups. One brings personal fulfillment and the treasure you seek, and the other will constantly have you fending off the opposition. The opposition that's being created by a certain stance that you're taking. The wheel does want to turn. It does want to bring you on a journey. But there's a need for transmutation of the lower nature in order to arrive at the truth that you seek. And you can't be in a fixed position. This is something that will become very clear by the time we arrive at the full moon in Sagittarius on June 11th. This landed right on top of the 9 of Cups. Again, it's very similar energy. It's showing that sort of dichotomous energy, and even the way that it matches up with these two cards. It's double fours too, which is ironic to me. 4 plus 9 is 13. Breaks down to 4 again, which is all about coming into that place of true power. See, when we cling to a false sense of power, I'm kind of seeing this 9 of Wands like this. When we cling to a false sense of power, when we carry a big stick, right, we're sure to find a battle. When we are used to heading into unfamiliar territory, all guns blazing, then we will find a need to defend ourselves. We'll always have to be protecting ourselves. We'll always need to ensure that we're staying in a stance where we're at the ready. And unfortunately, this is a stance that will be more combative than it will be beneficial. It also prevents us from being able to really take anything in or finding shelter. 13 on the clock, double fours again. This is important. It's a building block for the future. But when we enter into unfamiliar territory in a spirit of gregariousness, to come into alignment with one who's in a position where they can give us insight into the matter we seek, then we find a hospitable host who makes things very comfortable for us. And we also achieve our objective. So this is really with the Emperor here. This is all about the spirit that we enter into this exploration. We have to understand that we're at an initiatory gateway. If this is the energy that is leading us up to that full moon in Sagittarius, it's what has the potential to either open the road to the stone of destiny or to block our passage, where we'll be found in a position where we'll always have to defend our hopes. Because see, this is like an ally kind of energy, and it's a partnership that strengthens us. It finds us in a place of personal fulfillment, a much stronger position that allows us to take action and invest in a direction that can have us actually finding that treasure in our hands. But it's all about the approach. You see, there needs to be a spirit of innocence, and innocence in the sense of not knowing what one expects, not knowing what one will find, heading completely into the unknown and not taking forward any preconceived notions so that the shadow does not obscure one's view of what's possible. This is what invites the sun. This is what invites the dawn. This is what allows us to shed the veil of illusion and all that has clouded our view to see the true reward that is on offer when we move forward in this spirit, born anew into the moment, not carrying forward any of the cloaking of the past that at one time felt protective, but now serves as a limitation, that now serves as a sort of binding that keeps us from feeling the true hope that comes through the light that's breaking through now. There's movement required here. It's coming through very strongly. It's radal energy. The journey is about to begin with that Sagittarian full moon, and this is a time of preparation here. This is a time of being aware that one is required to take an action to find a place of retreat from reality, but it's shelter from one who has the answers to what puzzles you. That's what I got. This is where you've been now. You've been in a position of having to fight off a lot of opposition, holding your ground. This is coming into harmony with an ally. Yes, an ally that will make you stronger in a particular battle that you've been facing. If there's something about the partnering makes you stronger, trying to sort of stand on your own in this regard is always going to have you in a defensive posturing. It really looks like a choice between two paths here. That's what I see. You can stay where you've been, doing what you've been doing. You can stay in your safety zone. And I feel like it's more of a safety zone in just the way you view a situation or your role within it. Like there might be some position you're refusing to budge on, or some idea you have that you're not willing to sort of accept may have a different viewpoint than you've really considered here. Or it could be some last little vestige of power you think you're holding that's actually not an empowerment. It's something that disempowers you. It's something that may feel like a safe space to you because of its familiarity. And yet, in order for you to really get what you need here and to have the alchemizing of what has held you back, so you can actually get your hands on this treasure. It's a metaphorical treasure. What that treasure is different for each of you, but it's the personal reward that you seek. It's your gold. One could say it's fool's gold. It's the direct result of taking up the challenge of the fool, which is to be the initiator. Big Aries energy, Aquarian energy. It is unfamiliar territory. We have Neptune in Aries right now. Aries represented as the emperor. So traditional modes of rising into greater power, inner authority are much different than they have been up to this point with that Neptunian energy in the house of Aries. This may have you in a place of conflict within yourself because you're used to achieving success or your objective or victory in a certain way. But the longer you stay within the old paradigm, the more you're going to find yourself in this defensive posturing where you always have to be at the ready. Whereas if you move into this position of gregariousness and more of a sense of curiosity in regard to stepping through this gateway, and you choose to open yourself to the inner conflict of recognizing that you do not have a certain answer you seek, or do not hold a key that you need to open a particular door, a door of perception, a door of opportunity, then this can allow you to find passage through the initiatory gateway. There's something here about a position that is being defended is preventing one from truly finding that which they seek. And in order to be able to get admission through an initiatory gateway, there needs to be a willingness to admit that one is puzzled, that one doesn't really understand, that one seeks knowledge from another who maybe operates in such a way that is outside of the borders of reality. Maybe someone who is considered eccentric, strange, doesn't fit within the box of what is considered, maybe even in some cases, acceptable by some social standards. Maybe even one that you have risen up against before. Okay. And that can present quite a challenge. I could see that. There's inner conflict. There's a recognition that something is needed, some kind of meeting with this individual, and that is the initiation of itself. And this is why there's sort of this conflict, this inner conflict, or this resistance. I don't know if I can approach this individual because of how I rose up against them in the past. I don't know if they will be hospitable toward me. I don't know if they will even hear me out. I don't know if I will find a battle, and this has one embattled within themselves. Interesting. So what is the way through? What is the way through for the Outlander? What is the way through for the Outlander? Love how that came out as a crossing energy. Of course. You got to be brave. You got to move into motion. You can't keep the momentum in the headspace. It has to be put into action. It has to be put into action. Knight of Wands energy, moving forward with a sense of passionate purpose. King of Wands energy. Wow, really strong energy. It shows there will be progression. Okay. It shows that there will be progression. One moves from the Knight to the King of Wands, and we already had that Emperor energy show up on the scene. Look at this. I mean, this is big leveling up. Really strong Aries energy coming through here, but all fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Okay? It brings personal fulfillment. It brings personal reward. It brings transformation. Right? Some kind of wish fulfillment. The treasure you seek is on the other side of the transformation, you see. With death coming out here, another sign of 13. This is understanding that this sacrifice, the death of a perspective, the death of a false power, the death of a false sense of security, is what frees oneself from the conflict and allows the transformation to take place. But it requires strength. It requires great strength in order to come into this place of alignment. But see, there is the ivory tower, and here is the meeting point, and it looks like a warm reception. You'll find probably even quite a banquet hall and feast. And one receives what is needed. One finally has their thirst quenched. They find the water of the deepest well, and they're gifted a miraculous chalice, and the waterway opens, a way through is found. Leo energy, Scorpio energy, Earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Gemini energy. Let's do a cut of the deck and see what we find here. But no action is being taken yet. One stays still at the crossroads rather than stepping through the gateway of initiation. Isn't that brilliant? Look at that. Look at that there with that Three of Wands. Do you see? Something needs to be left behind, a false sense of power, an action one was taking that was blocking the way. Carrying that big stick, not being mindful of the approach that will encourage sheltering, hospitality. Do you see? In order to open the road, this is what needs to be left behind. Notice how he's leaving behind that wand as he's gazing across to that distant shore. The defense needs to be left behind. That's what opens the waterway. That's what opens the way through. Then one can find themselves with a place to actually anchor the ship for a while and quench one's thirst. I'm going to leave this right here. It feels appropriate. I'm going to be bringing in quest reads to go deeply into this, look at other layers of this, but this looks like this message is for one who is about to head into unfamiliar territory or is being presented with such a choice to approach someone that at one point they had a certain understanding of, but now there's cracks. There's cracks in that viewpoint. There's something that does need to be cast aside, something that felt like a false sense of power, a position somebody was holding, in order for them to approach the person they seek. And they may not know what they find on that arrival point, but there is a necessity to move forward in such a way that makes one find favor in unfamiliar territory. I mean, I think that it's completely logical, actually, the choice to be made, because to remain in the current position keeps one bound. And in this place of feeling like a victim of circumstance, when really circumstance is directly related to not taking a particular conscious action, it's choosing to stay unconscious rather than be liberated by the truth, which I understand may be an uncomfortable truth and may require one to look at the ways that they did not have the proper view of an individual, of a situation. And yet this is what's required for the transformation to come through. This is what's required for one to actually find the treasure they seek. We're going to leave it off there. So, to journey into unknown territory or to stay safe? It's up to you. Which do you want? This is where you're at right now. Is this what you're choosing to refuse the miraculous chalice for? For the 5 of Pentacles, the 3 of Swords, the 5 of Swords? You'll make do with this in order to defend that post? In order to defend that post, you'll make do with this. I don't think so. Not with the Knight of Swords to the Chariot, to the King of Pentacles. To that Queen of Pentacles Magician, the way through is pretty clear. I trust you'll make the right decision. Godspeed.